one of the things that I did think about really is if I had to do it again, would I have done mechanical engineering? Let's take it a step further back.
Sure. You're the host.
Seeing, especially, I think having my experience at BMW and even I think Boeing, seeing that with industrial engineering, people that study industrial engineering, I remember there was a lot. I mean, even still, industrial engineers are very, very demanded right now at BMW, and especially a few years ago. I remember like thinking, oh man, that would have been something I'd enjoyed because it's not as technical. It's more about processes. It's more about
Hmm.
so applicable to anything, manufacturing, anything that has a process behind it. Like if it's a healthcare system, it's a production system, anything. And I remember thinking, and to this day, I think if I had to do it again, I probably would have done industrial engineering, and that I think would have been, if anything, that is something I would have changed because I think mechanical engineering is kind of narrows you down more than industrial, and I think for the personality type that I had, like you said, I'm not so much a specialist. I'm more of a generalist, I think. And even in my role now at BMW, I'm a project, I guess, lead for parts procurement for prototype vehicles. So it's not really,
Hmm.
yes, there's some technical stuff involved, but really nothing that merits me having an automotive engineering degree. And I think with an industrial engineering degree, it's more broad and it's more agile, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, so two things there. So one, you're a communicator, right? I mean, your language skills, kind of everything that you want to do is communicate with people, and I think that what you're saying to being a generalist speaks to that. You'd rather talk to multiple groups about a project than just zone in and do your engineer thing. The other thing that I'll agree with, but kind of say a little differently, is when you're a mechanical engineer, I picked it at least because it was still so general in an engineering sense, because your
Mhm.
coursework was like statics, dynamics, like you never really got too honed into like chemical engineering or nuclear, which are really specific. So I would thought about it as being a generalist. When you come out of school, it's like every position says major, every engineering position, majors, mechanical, and then whatever else they need. I mean, it could be an electrical engineering position and they'll still make mechanical. So while it feels like this really broad field, I think you're right in that I would have picked industrial too. I think partially because NC State had a good school for it, a little bit newer program. But when you're studying processes like you are in industrial, it relates a little bit more to just general business processes. So you can apply it, like you're saying, the roles or the businesses looking for it may be looking at a more general piece rather than mechanical, where you're like, we need an engineer, mechanical can happen. This is more like, we need a process person. So an
Mhm.
industrial engineer would work.
All right, so let me sharpen up that point about the industrial engineering. So I guess maybe because yes, mechanical engineering I think is broad enough to where you're right when you see a lot of those openings for jobs, it'll say mechanical engineering or this and this and this and that or the other. I think what I meant to say when I said that I would have chosen industrial engineering if I had to do it over again is because industrial engineering I think has a greater appeal to me because it's kind of merging kind of process operations and operations and engineering versus just pure mechanical engineering, which yes, there's alleyways where you can get into project management out of mechanical engineering or into technical sales. I think there's multiple avenues, but I think industrial engineering, just the actual operations management of that education, I think just appealed to me more. And seeing especially what industrial engineers were doing um, at BMW, I think was very interesting to me as well. So, but that's not too far off the beaten path of engineering. I mean, I wouldn't have done anything radically different. I wouldn't have done business or anything like that. I mean, I still have contempt for that education, if you can call it that. Kidding, of course. No offense to the two listeners. Um,
We don't
and
allow business listeners.